Hello everyone, it's Zahava. Welcome back to the channel. We are doing part 3 of the February reads. There may be a part 4 because I'm actually filming this, I think, on February 23rd because I'm going to be traveling again. I have to go visit my husband. You guys already know what's going on if you saw the last video. If not, I will link it up there for you guys to go and check out. And yeah, we're just going to be catching up to what I've been reading, what I'm going into next, and all that jazz. Yeah, so just a vlog style catch up as to what I've been doing. And I guess you guys are probably used to that by now. At least that's what I'm hoping. So, because, you know, this channel, I don't know, I just don't do very well with structure. Like, I need to be in a mood to create. And yeah, I just like to talk to you guys whenever I'm in a mood. But because I'm going to be traveling, I wanted to get this video down and post it up. And then when I come back from traveling, I will hopefully have more to talk to you guys about. So let us get into what is going on with the part 3, the unofficial part 3 of the February reads. I have my reading journal. I also have some books next to me on the sofa. And again, for those of you who are wondering why we're not filming in front of the bookshelves, maybe you missed the last couple of videos, it is because I have my treadmill out and it is just like a very small apartment and I just do not want to put it away every time I need to film. So we get the book tree instead. So the last time that we spoke, I had been listening to the Cartographers on audio and I ended up finishing this book and I really enjoyed it. I think that the overall ratings have been kind of mid to low on this book. It is a magical realism book. So in this story, we're following Nell, whose father is the big head honcho in the New York Public Library, and she, 7 years prior to when we meet her, had been fired by her father. She used to be working in the library. She stumbles across this map, a very ordinary looking map, and her father freaks out and fires her from working at the library. So she basically is not talking to her father for the previous 7 years before we meet her, and then her father, of course, passes away, and she has to come back, go to his funeral, go through all his things, at which point she rediscovers the map that she had seen when she was younger, 7 year prior. And then we have to follow the mystery of where this map comes from, why it is so highly sought after on the black market and on the dark web. Who are the cartographers? What is their purpose? I don't know, it's kind of hard to like talk about this book without giving too much away, but basically we're following her on an adventure of discovery of a seemingly ordinary looking map, which is anything but what it seems. So we are going to be looking at a book of magical realism. So it's very light in terms of fantasy, but I liked it. I mean, I found it was, I don't want to say it was very readable. I liked it because I did do this book on audio. And I think that it was not a waste of time. Like, I had a good time in this book, and I don't know if I would specifically seek out this author again, but I thought it was a good time. Like, I had a good time in it, and I don't regret my time in this book, and I will be keeping this book on my bookshelves. I also completed The White Tiger, which I gave 3.75 or 4 stars to. I'm not sure. I think I gave it 4 stars, but it's really like a 3.75 for me. And this has to do with the story of a young Indian boy who goes from rags to riches. This was my February pick for the already overbooked monthly reading challenge that I decided to participate in for 2026. This was good. I did take some notes, and I'm looking forward to watching the screen adaptation of this, which I think is only currently streaming on Netflix, and I don't have Netflix, so maybe my stepson will let me log in through his account. But yeah, I do want to watch the screen adaptation of this one, and basically, yeah, it's a rags to riches story. It's told in an epistolary fashion. We're following Balram over a week in his life as he writes a series of letters to a Chinese politician who is coming into India, and he just wants him to know that India might not be all that it seems to be, and that there's sort of like a hidden side to it, and many nuances. And yeah, it's just Balram sort of recounting his rags to riches story in a very, like, it's not quite like Slumdog Millionaire, but it does give Slumdog Millionaire vibes in terms of a rags to riches scenario. But it's really just about a man and his perspective of how he's an opportunist and he calls himself an entrepreneur, although I don't know if necessarily the things that he does are entrepreneurial all the time, because I myself am an entrepreneur, and I didn't have to do some of the things that Balram has done in order to get myself that far. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I think that it all has to do with perspective. I think that that's a major point of this novel, is really how you see yourself and how you view the world around you, and how you interpret opportunities, how you can carve opportunities out for yourself, and you don't have to wait for necessarily perfect circumstances. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that this is one of my favorite books of all time, but I will, and I could see myself eventually unhauling it, but I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit. So this one got a 3.75 from me. Next, I read You Belong Here by Megan Miranda. This is my first by this author, and it was also one of the books that I picked up in the Lit Love box surprise mystery book box that I bought a few weeks ago. And I gave this book 1 star. I gave this book 1 star. It really did not resonate with me. I can't even believe that I made it to the end of it. It's really a book that I should have DNF'd, and when I went to go look at Goodreads comments from other readers when I had finished the book and decided to give it 1 star, I went to look, and a lot of people kind of felt like they should have DNF'd it or did DNF it, and I really should have. So basically, we're following a mom whose daughter has gone missing, and she has to go back to her old college in order to discover what happened to her daughter, but she doesn't like to turn up at the old college where her parents also used to be professors but have since retired, because her daughter is potentially having taken part in this like hazing ritual that's common to the small town for new students that come in, even if they're not like college students. The local high school students and, you know, local towns kids would have taken part in this hazing ritual, as well as the students that were in the college. But her daughter has secretly applied to that college and is attending that college. And Beckett, who is the mother's name, don't ask. I don't know either. I don't understand why people choose the names they do for their characters sometimes. But Beckett is trying to discover why her daughter has gone missing, why she's not picking up her phone, etc. But the reason that Beckett doesn't want to go back to this college is because when she was attending it when she was a teenager and she was summarily expelled, it was because her roommate had potentially committed a murder or arson, and they thought that Beckett had something to do with it. And she like never had criminal charges pressed against her, but she also has to sort of figure out like what the real story is and whether her former roommate and also her best friend at the time was really indeed responsible for the murders, etc. I don't know. This book was just like not good. It was just not good. I think it was trying to have a tension that it didn't quite achieve. And I think that I was bored a few times and I really should have put it down because it started off as if it was going to go one way to like a missing person scenario. And then it turned into something completely different, like as if the author didn't know if she wanted to do a missing person story or if she wanted to do a murder mystery, and she tried to do like too much all at once. So it like went in one direction and then took a sharp pivot and went in another direction, which really didn't sit well with me. So I'm not sure if I would pick up a book by this author again. I don't know. Maybe if I'm unwitting and I don't really realize it's the same author and it gets really good hype from, you know, other people. But this book, I mean, like I said, it was a 1 star for me, which normally would be a DNF. And I really can't believe I finished it because I think at some point I just really didn't want to be listening to it anymore. And there was like zero joy, but I didn't want to have another DNF this month because I've already had quite a few. And in just this part 3 of my February reads, I have 2 more DNFs that I have to talk to you about, which I think I might as well just do now. So the first one is Out on a Limb. This was a romance. I had heard about it from Ashley of The Answer Is Books. Normally her recommendations are really good for me. I really thought that since Ashley liked this book so much and she had said that it wasn't going to follow a normal trajectory that romance books or contemporary romance books followed, that I would have a good time with it. But truthfully, I just got really bored. I didn't end up rating this one, and I can't even tell you at what point I decided to stop reading it because I don't know, I think that I need to come to terms with the fact that romance books as well as cozies don't really work for me. So I think I should probably just try and stay away from them going forward. But that being said, I did get approved for the NetGalley advanced reader's copy of Summer Coven. And because I read Dead and Breakfast, I'm going to try Summer Coven as well, but I don't know when I'll get to it. The second book I DNF'd was When the World Fell Silent, and this was supposed to be the story of the Halifax explosion in 1917. I listened to about 2.5 hours of this audiobook, and it's time that I can never get back. It was so slow, so boring. Like when a big disaster happens and you're going to fictionalize it in historical fiction, please just cut to the chase, okay? Get to your point. I did not care about the characters. I didn't care about the characters at all. I didn't care about the lady that had a baby out of wedlock, or the one whose husband died and she had to get taken in by her husband's family that she hated and treated her like a scullery maid. I just didn't care. I wanted to read about the disaster. I wanted to read about the aftermath and the coping and the action. And there was just in 2.5 hours, there was like zero action in this book. And I just could not do this to myself anymore. So this one is going to be unhauled as well. I also read She Had Enough, which was an arc that I got on NetGalley. Now, She Had Enough, I have mixed feelings about because the writing was not that great, but it was very, very readable. So I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like the prose was a little bit amateur, despite the fact that this author has, I think, 4 books out. Would I read more from this author? Probably, probably. But there were certain like instances in the prose where I was sort of off-put by the way that things were put together, just by certain sentence structure issues and things that were said, which I don't have the book right now because it was an advanced listener's copy. And it's like, I didn't take notes as to what those things were because it wasn't easy to tab because it was a book that was on my e-reader. And I just remember being jarred in a few different places, but yet the book was compulsively readable. So if you want something that's very light and that would read really quickly in terms of like a murder mystery situation, then I would suggest that you read it. So basically we're following Mallory, who is out for a dinner with friends, and when she goes to the bathroom, her acquaintance Caitlin slips a lipstick into her jacket or her purse or something, and Mallory discovers it later after the dinner is over. And that night there is an earthquake and everybody's forced to leave their houses and apartments because it takes place in California. And Mallory goes outside and they survive the night. And then when she goes back into her home, she discovers that it has been ransacked. And so it's pretty obvious that the person, whoever had gotten into her apartment, was obviously looking for the lipstick. But the thing is, Caitlin goes missing. No one has heard from her, and they have to sort of discover what happened to Caitlin. And Mallory is protecting this lipstick, which she slowly sort of discovers more about and what it is and where it came from. And so basically Mallory is on this quest to sort of discover what happened to Caitlin and what this lipstick is all about. So it is a mystery thriller. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give away the plot, but like I said, the writing was kind of not that strong, but I liked the book nonetheless, and I would definitely read more from this author. I also read The Maid's Secret, so that is book number 4 in the Molly the Maid series. I didn't read the Christmas book. I don't tend to read the little novellas in these series because I don't know, I just can't be bothered, I guess. And that one sort of concludes the 4 books that Nita Prose has written for Molly the Maid, but you kind of need to read the first 2 to understand the backgrounds and all of the rest of the plot points of The Maid's Secret, because it really delves into a lot more about Molly's grandmother's history. So if you were thinking about maybe skipping that one, maybe that will help you decide whether or not you want to read it. So we learn more about Molly's grandmother and how she grew up and what caused her to become a maid in the first place, and yada yada. So I like that book. I also gave it 4 stars. I read Aftertaste. So Aftertaste is kind of like a ghost story, magical realism, but also almost in a way a literary fiction. It's got kind of a dark tone, and it has to do with a man who can taste foods when he's cooking for people or looking at people. He can sort of taste what they are tasting, which has a relation to people that they had recently lost or have recently passed away. And when they're trying to evoke memories of the people that they loved, these tastes appear in our hero's mouth, and he's able to recreate these dishes for the people that are in mourning. And we are doing sort of like a jumping back and forth in terms of a timeline, because we get to know how he ended up being the head of a restaurant where they charge like $500 a head to sit down and have him recreate these dishes for you, to the point where he's being covered by the news. And, you know, it's just like a very interesting take on relationships and loss and grieving. And yes, there is that magical element where we're trying to communicate with ghosts as well. So I think that if you're looking for a more like introspective read that has to do a lot with family identity, relationships, yes, there's a little paranormal element, but I would say that it kind of reads a little bit like a literary fiction also. And it has a little bit of a mysterious element, like a mystery plot line as well. So it's doing a lot of things, but not in a way that I didn't like. I did feel it was a little bit dark, like tonally it's a little bit dark, but I felt like it was good, you know, it was good. I did this on audio. This is an ARC that I picked up last year on Independent Bookstore Day, because if you spent a certain amount or if you bought a book, then you got to pick for free one of the ARCs that they're not legally allowed to sell. So this is the one that I picked up, but I didn't read this one with my eyes. I did it on audio. I liked it. I would recommend it. I will be keeping this one on my bookshelves. Next, I read Victorian Psycho. This one I gave 5 stars to. It's a novella, not too long, about 200 pages or so, but it has to do with a woman who is literally psychotic. She is hired as a governess to mind 2 children in a Victorian household, and she is a particular character. I don't understand, honestly, the 3.55 overall rating for this book. For me, it was an absolute 5-star, and I think like an outlier. I would absolutely read more from this author. We're following Winifred Naughty, and she's had a rough life. She's grown up in like orphanages. Her mother had her out of wedlock and has since been living with a reverend in a church, and the reverend is a little bit abusive to her, and she ends up like through a series of events becoming a governess, and she gets, you know, her education and everything, and then she gets hired in this household, the Pounds household. I think their name is Pounds, Pounds, and Mr. Pounds is kind of a pompous guy. He's a little bit lecherous. And the wife, of course, is insufferable, and the children are insufferable. And Winifred is trying to sort of integrate herself into this family for reasons that I will not get into for fear of ruining the story for you guys. But basically, and it's not a secret because she tells you this right in the beginning in the first couple of pages, this is a family that will not be alive come Christmas. And she works for them for about a 6-month period. So I am I have been looking for a 5-star horror book for a while, and this one absolutely did it for me. And I'm so picky when it comes to horror. And this one, I don't know. I will read anything by this author. It was 5 stars and I just loved it. You should all go pick it up because I think that the current ratings for this book are criminally underrated. I continued on also with the Wayward Children series. I read Come Tumbling Down, which is the Wayward Children number 5. There's not really much to say about it because it's just a continuation of, you know, some characters that we've read in like the first 4 novels. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as I had liked the previous ones that I've read. There's a body switching scenario happening there, which can make between the twins, Jack and Jill. So it can make things a little bit hard to follow, especially since I've been doing this book on audio and we're trying to just sort of follow their story as they reclaim their identities and get Jack back into Jill's body or Jill back into Jack's body. I don't know. I found it kind of confusing. But anyway, I ended up giving it 3 stars. So I think my problem is that I tend to rate the books directly after I finish reading them because sometimes they do completely disappear from my brain. And I think that that's probably what has happened in this case. But I will be continuing with the series anyway, just to see where these stories are going. Then I read The Flight Attendant by Chris Bojalian. And I'm going to be looking for the HBO series for this as well. I'm not sure who has it. I think it's only on Crave in Canada, which I don't subscribe to. So I'll have to see if I can find it maybe at the library or something. But I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was good. I listened to it on audio as well. This is one of the books that I picked up over Christmas in a little free library when I was in Atlantic Canada. I would happily unhaul this, but I would also happily keep it. Like I had a good time with it. It's not really much to say. It's a straightforward murder mystery. They made it into a TV series. We're following Cassie when she wakes up in a hotel room next to a dead guy and she cannot remember if she killed him or didn't kill him. And of course, everybody's trying to figure out who killed this guy because he's a young 30-year-old guy who seems to be very successful. And she's got to hide the fact that she was with him the night that he was murdered. So she's basically on the run from the law and we follow her story as she puts all the pieces together to try and figure out who exactly this guy was and why he was murdered and obviously who murdered him. I gave this one 4 stars. Now for a little update on what I'm currently reading. I'm finally got my hands back on a copy of The Killer Question by Janice Hallett. I had previously, actually the library ordered this one because I asked them to order it, and when it came in I didn't have time to read it, so I had to let it go to somebody else. It's finally my turn again. I started this one last night. I'm about 40 pages in, but I think it's going to be what I'll be working on this afternoon and tomorrow because I just love Janice Hallett's books. So I'm happy to have my hands on this one. This is a library read. Also from the library, I think this was a suggestion from Bree Reads Books. Again, I'll tag her channel down below so you guys can go check her out. So she does like a lot of books on mystery thrillers and things that she likes to read, and I'm pretty sure that I got these suggestions from her channel, and they're both by the same author, which is an author I've never heard of and don't have any experience with, but it is Grey After Dark, and I have a copy of Run on Red. Now Run on Red I think is the first in a series by this author, and I think that Grey After Dark is a standalone, but this is the one that I think Bree was talking about having read in terms of like a really good thriller. I don't know if it was her. It might have been a different YouTuber. If it is, I'll write it across the screen. But Noelle W. Ely, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway, if you guys know anything about this author, let me know what you thought of their books or what you think of their books in the comments below, because it's an author that's unfamiliar to me and I don't know if I'm going to have time to read these books, but I took them out of the library, so hopefully I have 3 weeks and I could probably renew them if I ever need to, but I would like to get to them at some point in March, because in March, the only book that I absolutely have to read for the already overbooked challenge is going to be The Other Valley. Now, I can't find a copy of that book on audio. I tried, but oh my God, what's going on with my voice? Okay, I think I've been talking too long. Okay, so I tried to find a copy of The Other Valley on audio. I was unable to find it. I don't really want to use an Audible credit for that because I already own a copy of the book, so I'm going to have to read that one with my eyes. If I do, I don't know if I'm going to have time to read these two because these were kind of like bonus takeouts from the library. What I really wanted to take out was The Killer Question, and I ended up taking that one out. The reason is because I am reading an arc called Dissection of a Murder by Jo Murray, who I know that Chess of Chess's Hyperfixating had just finished reading, and she gave that one 5 stars, but I think that Chess has a legal background in the UK, so I think a lot of the things in that book would be very, very familiar to her. They're not to me because I'm based in Canada, so I don't really know much about the UK legal system. Moreover, I am based in Quebec where we follow French law. So I don't really know too much about the way, as opposed to the rest of Canada that follows the English canon. So I don't really know much about the legal system outside of being in my province. And I don't know, I started Dissection of a Murder. I will tell you that so far I'm liking it. I don't have my Kindle with me right now. It's my Kobo that's sitting in front of me. My Kindle, I think I left it on my nightstand in the bedroom because that's what I kind of read when I can't sleep overnight. I'll pick up my e-reader and just sort of read until I get tired and my eyes do that crissy-crossy thing that they do when you're starting to like lose focus. But I will say that the writing is top tier. This is the author's debut. I think it's their only novel. Joe Murray, is it Joe Murray? Yeah, Joe Murray. And their writing is top tier. Like the prose is excellent. Every sentence flows smoothly into the next one. You're not confused. You know exactly what's going on. And I really wish that I could tell you how far I am into it, but I'm honestly too lazy. So I will put it across the screen for you guys and let you know where I am right now with that, but I'm in the middle of reading it. Also on audio, I am listening to Listen for the Lie. This is my first by this author. I'm not too far into it. I think maybe about an hour and a half. I think the whole audio is about 9 hours, so it's not too long of a book, and I am listening on 1.8 times speed. So I should have more information for you about that one. It's another mystery thriller the next time I see you guys, or like in one of the next upcoming videos. Yeah, and I think that that's it. Like I have some other books going on which are all, you know, on reserve or in the holds list, or I've already downloaded on audio, but I'm not going to talk to you guys about those now because I don't know if I'm going to get to them all. But I just wanted to give you guys an update as to where I am with my reading and check in with you all. And yeah, I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me and for watching this video and for sticking around until the end if you're still here. I appreciate you all being here. I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you again in the next video. Ciao for now.